I'm going to take you through my tape sampling process. I've recorded some of the church bells you can probably hear clanging away, which I first thought were quite annoying, but then I thought, well, I'll record it and see if I can get anything good out of it. So once they've stopped, I'm going to show you how I treat the recording that I've got on here of a series of bells that are all at the same pitch, and how I turn that into a tune. So I'll let these bells finish and then I will take you through the excruciatingly long and boring process that I have to go through. If I have to suffer, you do as well. You can probably hear the church bells just about. They're really loud in real life, and I initially thought they were quite annoying, but then I decided, oh well, I'll record them. So I'm going to take you through how I manipulate the recording I've got of those church bells to turn them into a bass line of the project I'm doing for the Hyde Park Picture House. I'm in the process of scoring The Unknown from 1927, which is a silent film, and church bells are a little bit on the nose in terms of a sound source for one of the scenes, but it's a melodrama, so I guess that's okay. So yes, once these are finished clanging, I will play the recording I got and then explain how I turn that raw recording, which is obviously a bell at one pitch, into a complete melody. The first and most obvious thing to show you is the initial recording I got of those church bells. So I recorded 15 inches a second on this machine, and I'll play it back at the speed I recorded it at. So I will show you now how I change the speed of that recording and sample off all the notes I need. Essentially, this is what I want to end up with. What I'm going to do is pick a couple of good bells from the recording and make a loop on this machine out of those pieces of tape. So there'll be 2 or 3 clangs on a loop, all at the same pitch, going round and round. This machine has a variable speed control, so if I turn this on I can speed up the recording or slow it down, thereby altering the pitch. And if I use a tone off the computer as a reference, I can tune this reasonably accurately to the harmonic series. So this is the bass line I'd like to end up with. It's pretty simple. I've decided that each beat essentially is a second long, and I'm going to record these notes onto this machine, my second machine, at the correct pitch, with this one running at 7.5 inches a second. Now what that means is that 1 second of music, or one of these beats, will be 7.5 inches long. That means I can accurately find the start point of the sound on the tape, make a mark there, and then cut 7.5 inches later, and I'll have my correct length note at the correct pitch. And I just need to do that for every note I have, so that on this tape I've got a fairly loosely assembled series of pitches from this machine that I can then go on to cut out and edit. And it's as simple as that. It sounds probably more complicated than it is. It's really fiddly, and you have to be very on it and careful while you're doing it, but that's the theory. You change the pitch by altering the speed of the loop sound you have on this machine, record it onto a second machine, and then find the start position, determine the end position with a ruler, cut them out, stick them back together in the right order. Voila, you have a melody or bass line or whatever. So let's go through it. So the first thing I need to do, right, so I've got a loop. I've done a very high-tech rig made out of gaffer tape and a reel and an elastic band. I'm going to use this slightly out of tune reed organ to pitch this to B. So that's... So I'm going to record that to another machine, and I know I need 3 Bs. So I'll just get them level. There we go. So I'll just mark where this is starting. One, two, three. One more for good luck. There we go. Just going to make a note that I have 4 of those recorded. Now I need to find C sharp, so that'll be a little bit higher in pitch. So just route that back through so I can hear it. And then record 2 of those I'm going to need. Need 2 of those. So I'll do 3 for good luck. There we go. So now I'm going to mark on the end of that, and now finally I need 5 at D. So this is a semitone higher in pitch. So I'm going to record 5, well I'll record 6 for safety, but here we go. So and then I'm going to mark on where that ends. So I should have enough notes now recorded at the correct pitches onto this machine, and I'm going to cut that tape up and reassemble it into the order I need. Right, so I've recorded off the notes of all the pitches I need onto this tape, and now I'm going to find the start position of all the notes I'd like to use. So I just need to go back and find the very start of the usable parts of the tape. And to do this, I'm going to have the tape in contact with the playhead so I can hear as I scrub past. So I'm just going to kind of stick this fairly clumsily across the wrong places in the machine so that it's held against the head while I'm scrolling through. You can hear the transient there. There. Mark that off with a pencil. So I know I'll be cutting there. Just going to mark as well so that I can see what note it is and the direction of travel. So that's 1, so there should be 2 more of these. There. Next should be C sharp, and there should be 3 of these. Stop, and there should be 6 even higher pitched at D. 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, that's how you get your pitches, and then you've just got to mark them off. But I just wanted to make sure I'd got the right things recorded. Yep, that's the end of the first note. So, right, so carry on past that. book an X there so I know where to get rid of that note. So these should be the C sharps. So the first one we'll ignore, there should be two good ones after those. So that's one, that's two, and that's the third one. So there should be an X where we can cut that because it stops, and then there should be a period of silence, and then finally I believe there are 6 on D. So we'll ignore the first one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a bit. Yeah, perfect. Two. So that's what we're going to use. There we go. And I need to take this off, cut it all up into the individual notes and put them somewhere very safe where I won't blow them off. So here we go. First of all, I'll just take that off and rewind it, and then I'll start spooling it out onto the desk and making a mess. So I just need to find that first marker. There it is. So I'm going to cut there with the razor blade. Very fiddly this, and it's often not a very neat cut if I'm honest. That's not too bad, so that can all go in the bin. So we have note 1. Note 2. Find the end of this one. And then note 3 of B, which I've marked an endpoint on there. So those are the B notes. I'm just going to move them up there. Try not to blow on them. So, just make a note for myself that B. In fact, I might actually write on with this as well. It's a bit easier to read. And the direction of travel. So I should have two usable C sharps now, so I'm going to find the next in point, which will be a little bit further along because I have a period of silence to make it easier to distinguish between the different notes I've sampled off. There it is. So that's C1. And I'll write that on with the black pen so it's easier to see actually. Find the start of the next one. And then up next where that kind of ends as well. Finally, there should be 5 pitched at D, so there's probably going to be a bit of a gap here where my silence is, and there we go. It is fiendishly difficult to get a clean cut on this block. Just a few more to go, 3 more to go for this D. And that should be our last one. So there we go, that's all of the notes cut out from the tape, just this last end one to do. Now that's done, this is the fiddly part. So I need to join them together at the correct length. So I'll just show you this sheet that I'm working from. So each note has a length assigned to it. So if a beat is a full beat at 120 BPM, it's going to be half of a second, isn't it? So so that's actually wrong. Right, so according to the sheet, 7.5 inches for the first B note. So let's line it up as accurately as I can. Put a mark where that needs to be cut. That one's good to go, so I'll do that now. Perfect. So there we go. One B note at the correct length.
And I've sped this up by 1000% because it's not very interesting watching me in real time try and cut lots of little bits of tape and stick them back together in the right order. With the best will in the world, that isn't interesting. So just to explain a bit more clearly, because I don't think I did a very good job on the fly while I was filming it, I've got the sheet in front of me. I've planned out what my melody is, and that gives me the order of the notes and the length of the notes in inches. All I've got to do then, once I've recorded the number of notes I need at the pitches I need from the variable speed machine, is find those notes on the tape by scrubbing backwards and forwards, which you've just watched me do, mark the start position, and cut them all out. Once I've got them cut out roughly with the attack portion of the sound, so that's the very start of the sound, in the right place, the tape starts at that point with a bit of a tail, I measure the length I need to get it to be in time and fit the pattern I'm trying to create based on that sheet. So you can see a ruler there, measuring the length I need based on that sheet, cutting it again, and ending up with a piece of tape exactly the right length for the thing I'm trying to make. Once I've got those bits, it's just a case of making sure they're in the right order and then sticking them together. Once they're stuck together, you find the tail and the start of it and stick those together and you get yourself a loop. If it's a longer piece, it might just go back on through a reel, you might not loop it, but because this is a short phrase that's going to repeat, it's best just to make a loop out of it. And for all you unintentional ASMR freaks, I'll put the unedited 100% speed clip of this happening on the end of the video. Enjoy.
I've made my loop. I've got the an empty reel hung off the back holding the tape tense. Should have really designed this with a few tape tensioning things. I might add a bit to the back, but anyway, in no particular starting place, then let's see if it works. Not going to be perfect, but it will show you the principle. Oops. So there you go, bit rough and ready, but that's basically how you do it. Obviously I made a few mistakes in that one, so I'll probably have to redo this. But yeah, you can get melody from a single pitch by changing the speed, sampling it to tape, cutting that tape up, measuring out the bits you need and assembling it into the order you need to make the melody. It's quite fiddly. I'm very out of practice. You know, that's the first time I've done that for probably 6 months. So not perfect, but I'm going to have to become very familiar with the process again for this work. Let's try it at half speed. off again. Obviously you get the octaves then. Might be quite spooky. Do you know what? To say that was recorded out of an open window from a church about a mile away, that sounds okay. So it's not the most hi-fi thing in the world, is it? These are good machines. These are okay. You know, these are made for language labs, schools, that kind of thing. They're really slightly more robust than domestic recorders with a 6 or 7 out of 10 sound quality. But to say I mishandled that tape so much, cut the joints pretty messily, and did sloppy measurement, it's surprisingly accurate. But there you go, rough and ready DIY tape sampling. Why would you ever bother doing it that way when you've got a computer? It's just completely redundant as a process, isn't it? But it introduces artifacts and a bit of chaos into the music that you wouldn't get if you did it on a computer. I mean, yes, you could build that in, but it's ready, baked in, that humanness, if you like. You've got all these minor fluctuations and quite major fluctuations between the notes because of how sloppily it's cut. And it just sounds sort of interesting. There's a texture and a patina to the sounds that you could probably fake, but yeah, that's natural with the medium. Just spat all over it there. Ruined. Anyway, bye-bye.